Since Rudra, who rules these worlds through his divine powers, who resides within every being, who, after projecting all the worlds and becoming the protector, withdraws them during dissolution, that Rudra is one. Therefore, they did not wait in anticipation of a second. Now the last time we had saying those who know this become immortal. You know, we had ended up with that. In the first verse, the last line is those who know this become immortal. Now this, and here the same topic is being uh, extended.
Could you please reread it?
Yes. Since Rudra, who rules these worlds through his divine powers, who resides within every being, who, after projecting all the worlds and becoming the protector, withdraws them during dissolution. That Rudra is one. Therefore, they did not wait in anticipation of a second. So they, who are these? They, the sages. And what was their realization? Like in the first verse, it was they realized this. Those who realize this is opposed to that. It's a proximate realization that one experiences within oneself. That's the idea. This, I know, this is my hand and this is me. This, it's getting more and more proximate. This. So even Bill's question was before we started the subject and object, and it's like uh, we had mentioned that the Lord, He projects this universe. Now, how does that universe come into being? Here it is said Rudra, that one deity. That's a Rudra Shiva. Okay. Now, in one of the philosophies of India, it's a Kashmir Shaivism. You have God linked with 5 powers. Now, how does he link it? They say it's his nature. And the first power is the power of consciousness, Chit Shakti. And wherever there is consciousness, there is a power of bliss, that whatever gives you bliss. Consciousness gives you bliss. So that's the Ananda Shakti. Chit, consciousness, Ananda, bliss. These 2 powers are the inherent nature of the deity. We've been talking about it's a deity who projects this whole cosmos. Now, how does that deity project this cosmos? There are 3 other powers. One is the power of will, Icha Shakti. Then there is a power called power of knowledge, Jnana Shakti. You ought to know. You put something in your pocket and say, after maybe a year, where's that thing? The, God does not forget. He knows where he has kept things, and he, he knows the details. That's the reason why we have this power of knowledge. And then this whole world is in a kind of a motion. It's being created. creation gives rise to creation, to tertiary creation, and it keeps on and on. It sets the ball rolling, and that is the Kriya Shakti. So these five, the power of, you can say, activity. So
Now that's according to Kashmir Shaivism.
yes, it's very closely linked to the Advaita Vedanta philosophy. Advaita Vedanta philosophy says we have the Icha Shakti, the uh, the power of, you can say, will or desire, and the Kriya Shakti, power of activity. We'll come down to this later. So these, the first two powers are, they are inherent, the deity's inherent, you can say, nature. The power of consciousness, which is also the power of bliss. Now this, if it was okay here, he could have just sat down and he or she, whatever, the deity could have just, is within, self-contained within. But like you have a kind of a pond, and then a wind blows and you get kind of choppy waves on that pond. What has happened? Nothing has happened to the pond, technically speaking, just a few waves, and those waves give rise to multiple waves and ripples, and the whole pond is. So creation is something like this. Technically, there is no word. Uh, Advaita Vedantins do not use the word creation. They say projection. There is no creation, projection. And when the waves on the pond get choppier, we say that that power has the three other powers that, the Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. That is the power of will, the power of knowledge, the power of activity. So this is the projection. Now, when you say, whenever you say projection, what does a person project? Like when we interact with each other, we project ourselves in a way. Uh, we project ourselves. So, and that's the same thing that God does. He he or she projects, the deed projects itself. Now you say, yes, but I can see material here. This is material, yeah. That deity is projected. Where has that material come from?
Deity.
Yeah. So, and when you say that there's only one deity, and it says that they did not anticipate any other. Who has created that first deity? And who, then somebody will say, who has created that second deity? Who has created the first deity? And it's called, what's it? No, 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 no. It's in logic. It's called uh, uh, logic in a circle. It's technically in Western philosophy also. It's called anavasta dosha. Patrick, I'll get it, of course.
Circular logic,
Yeah,
infinite regress.
yeah, infinite regress.
Yeah.
It's kind of so.
Pathological?
No, no, not pathological. Regresses ad infinitum. So otherwise you'll have to get into a kind of an infinite regress. Who's created the first one? Who's created the second one? Who's created the third one? Fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. So Indian philosophy stopped at one. I say, wait. Then what about the material? The material is that deity himself or itself. Here we are. So what we experience as matter is actually not matter. It is the body of that deity. And the body of the deity is cosmic. You, me, all these things are included in that body. It's like we have a body and we have separate cells. Each cell is distinct, is individual, and yet it is part of the whole. So we are probably like a kind of a small cell there, or a small kind of bacteria there in the whole. Is this experience? Yes. Over and over again, we read in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna how Sri Ramakrishna has experienced this cosmic being, and as well as even Swami Vivekananda and Holy Mother and all these things. So what is the way? So what happens is that deity projects itself. There are two powers. As what projects, it's called a kind of a Vikshepa Shakti, that which the projection power, because that being is here and that projection power comes into play and keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And that also acts as a kind of an veiling power. The deity is as it were hidden. Suppose the children you are interacting with, and they say, Uncle, you've got a beautiful pair of trousers. And they keep on praising your trousers. And for a moment, you know, this guy is pulling a fast one on me. But then you get caught up in that, you know, those words and arguments. And, oh, yeah, really, it's good, huh? Oh. That projection power, as it were, kind of veils that real state of your trousers. There you go.
It could also mean he wants that trouser.
Whatever. But the trouser wasn't, we won't get into the implication there. It's just the tendency to, because we start off with one thing and then slowly, that thing keeps on rolling down. It becomes many. This is the faith of every branch of learning, science, or activity, anything. You start with one, and then it fragments, bifurcates, divides, subdivides, and keeps on. In the old days, you had one doctor, a physician. He used to go around with all his stethoscopes and syringes and this and that. And now, what happened to those people, those types? They're not there. Now, medicine is multi disciplinary. You go for eyes, and then that guy is saying, you go to that guy because he's expert in optic nerves, and that guy is in the cornea, and that guy is in the pupils, and that goes on. Even the small thing needs so many specialists. So this is what happens. You start with one and keeps on. Now, here comes Advaita Vedanta. Saying, just a moment, just a moment. All this is good. It's like you have a seed, and from that seed has come the huge trunk and the branches and the leaves and the twigs and the fruits and the flowers. That's okay. But that's only half the story. Somewhere that seed cannot reabsorb that tree back inside. The deity can. Yeah. So there it is. Now Advaita Vedanta again steps in. Hey, just a moment. You mean to say that one becomes a many? That means it loses its nature. Yeah. I think the kind of one ray of light. We know it's white. You put a prism and it fragments into this multiple colors, the colors of the rainbow. Yes. So that fragmentation is not simply white light. It is white light plus something more. And you are talking about Rudra is one. There's one. What do you mean one? And then what about multiplicity? Yeah, it's a projection, but the projection is an appearance. It's not real. There you go. Because you are giving reality to that deity. You are bringing in another reality, and that will lead you to an infinite ad regresses regresses ad infinitum called anavastha dosha. Like you have one deity who's projecting. So who created this deity? No one. That deity is kind of self-contained by itself. And then at the same time, you're saying there is a kind of this projection. Now it brings in another one, two, the deity as well as creation. Then you say, no, no, no. It's a part of that deity itself that has come. So does that deity undergo kind of a mutation? So no, not really. There's no mutation. That mutation is due to these powers that we are talking about. The five powers.
The thing is that it's said that these appearance, well, they say that it's neither real nor not real, but all the Viveka talks about dividing the real from the unreal.
Mm.
But if it's made out of the deity, then how can it be anything other than
Yeah, I'll
the
come
real?
down to that. Yeah.
And there's a big issue.
Yeah. So when you talk about you, it's a viveka. Viveka means discernment. You
Right.
discern what is true and what is false. On this level, you do a kind of a temporary analysis, a conditional or provisional analysis, because it's that relative truth that leads you to the absolute truth. Later on, you will have to discern between this entire nature and the reality. Then you can. So first is, you see, I go to a store and then I want to buy something. I say, do I really need this? You ask yourself. And the moment you say, do I really need this? Then you're saying, kind of say, no, I've got hundreds of dresses, and 101. I don't need it. So this is a kind of a discernment. This discerning mind puts a check on itself. That's what Vedanta wants. The idea is these three powers out of the five, the Icha, the Jnana, and the Kriya, the power of will, the power of knowledge, and the power of activity, they makes that one deity fragment. The idea is, in the first chapter we said, we have all these 50 spokes, and each spoke is made up of this and that, and it is describing nature. And the idea is to go back to your source, to go back to the source by giving the lower for the higher. And that's discernment.
Oh,
Slowly, to go back to the source. So as you keep on moving back to the source, you'll find, yes, there is a projection out of the being itself, but it is an appearance, not real.
but if it's not real, then it can't be made up of the deity, which is only real.
Yes. And that
Yeah.
is where your discernment comes and say, this world is the deity. That's liberation for you. Simple as that. Like you are conscious right now of your individual existence. Okay. When you can become conscious of the universal existence, there. And this is the next. In fact, this is the third verse. It has eyes everywhere, its face everywhere, its arms everywhere, and also its feet everywhere. The third chapter, third verse here. The one deity, while creating heaven and earth, conjoins the human beings with hands and the birds with wings. Yeah, yeah. These some of these mantras are quite old. This is found in even in the Rig Veda and addressed to a deity called the Vishwakarma, that is one who is the divine architect. We had a lot of deities. So what the sage does is takes that divine architecture of that, the quality of that deity, and puts it on that one supreme deity. So here we have, and we also have the first and second in the Mahanarayan Upanishad and Vajaseniya Samhita. So what he's trying to get is there is a kind of a continuity between the old and the new. You see what happens when I experience reality. I need to authenticate it through the scriptures. Does the scripture say this or no? There are various experiences, and somewhere I need to find a correlate of my experience with that. That is the best form of evidence. Yeah, I'm not deluded about something, and that my experience is real. And there is a kind of a continuity from the earliest parts of the Vedas till the Upanishads and even beyond. So he has hoisted certain old, you can say, mantras and given them a new kind of symbolism. So you're saying it has eyes everywhere. There you are. Ha! And this has also been repeated in the Bhagavad Gita and other Upanishads also. It has hands everywhere, eyes everywhere, feet everywhere, everywhere. It is He. There you are. Oh, so you're saying these are my eyes. The deities smile and say, "Oh yeah, keep on thinking."
Also in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, when the uh, disciples are saying to Ramakrishna, "Go to Mother and ask her to cure your throat."
Oh yes.
And
yes.
so he goes to Mother and comes back all upset with them because Mother said to him, "I have many mouths that I eat through. Why should I be concerned
Yeah.
about this one in
Kali, he
particular?"
says, Vivekananda insists, uh, you tell Kali that cure you. So he prays to Kali. Kali appears saying, these boys are saying, I I can't eat well. So if this is cured a little, I could eat a little. His mother shows him, why? You are eating through all these mouths? And then he scolds her. And even one disciple came to see him, and Ramakrishna is saying, see, like it was painful, I can't talk. But the disciple is a little advanced, saying, but I see you immersed in bliss. This is the kind of a appearance here that you've got cancer, you've got this. So Ramakrishna says, oh, this rascal has got me. uh, it's like that. So this is, even Vivekananda was, hilariously saying, "Oh, these sages who said all these they're crazy." They're saying everywhere is a deity. They're laughing about it. And then he goes to his friend and they are making a joke about it. You see, this pot is Brahman and this is Brahman and that is Brahman. And Ramakrishna comes and touches Vivekananda. And then he sees everything as that one deity. But he's a clever chap, keeps quiet about it. So in this state, there is a kind of a mingling of Dvaita Advaita. Yes, you still see forms and yet you still see the water. You still see the waves and yet you know there are millions of waves on that pond and yet you know they are just water, nothing but water. So that's what you experience. And then later on, even that experience is transcended, where there is no pool, no waves, no creation, no projection, nothing. There's only that immense, you can say, being. And how do you know? You cannot know it. You cannot know it there. You have to become that. That's what they say. So Vishwatas Chakshur, Vishwato Mukha, Vishwato Bahu, Vishwato Bahur, Uta, Vishwatas Patha. So here we have. So he creates. Suppose take an example. Uh, we have these magicians. They kind of throw a kind of magic, and wow, look at that. You know technically that it is not possible for for that person to be sawed in half and then again joined. You know, and yet at that moment, wow, there's that, you can say, factor. After the magic show, oh, it was magic. Yeah, that's what is supposed to be magic. This is where we have the knowledge of the deity, and yet we see this whole variety. And wow, there was one monk, Sri Ramakrishna says that he had his spiritual practices were nothing. He used to come out once a day out of his, you can say, hut. The monks, you have a kind of a straw hut and sit down, meditate. He used to come out. There was a waterfall, and he used to look. Wow, beautiful. Oh, how beautiful you've made it. Aha. And he used to get into a kind of rapture to sing and dance. Wow, beautiful. He's come to a stage where can see that reality at the same time the reality as it was appears like this, and wow, beautiful. Oh God, there it is. It's now this projection of creation is now fascinating to him. So many forms and so many things, and amazing. Yes, once you know the deity, why you everywhere his hands, feet, legs, here this all it is his bodies. So in this universe, which is now a divine universe, nothing is insignificant. Right now, we start with the discernment of that's a mosquito and that is a bull, and that mosquito is going and sitting on the head of the bull. You will see everything as that one huge fabric of reality. And this is where we come down to, because it's not only the experience of this particular sage, it's saying we who are all these sages down the course of this centuries and hundreds of years, they have had this experience. The idea is, how do you know it? It has been experienced. Are these guys telling lies about it? I don't think so. Why should they tell lies? Tell us lies, sir. So, because they have no other motive than to lead us from that darkness to the light. So these become a kind of a, they say in pramana in Sanskrit, it's called an evidence. How do you know this way? These are the words of the sages. These are their experiences. They've placed it before us. Suppose they were lying. No, not suppose. It's not suppose.
But do some of their conclusions or experiences disagree with each other?
Sri Ramakrishna says, all jackals howl alike. All mystics howl alike. They say the same thing. The language might be different. While on the philosophical journey, you might say, yes, I like Shiva, Rudra. Somebody says, I like Vishnu. Somebody says, I like Jehovah. He said, like, I want something else. Okay, fine. That the choice of the deity is different. Different doesn't matter, and that's the reason why I said that deity, that Rudra. Fine. And when you're approaching that deity, you might take a different path, but we are all converging towards that hub, that center, from where it everything has emanated. In fact, it will become a kind of an enriching experience. And that's what Ramakrishna did. He went through the paths of the known paths within his religion, and then he tried the paths of other religions and found, oh, here we are. I'm reaching the same conclusion, same experience. So there is no, you can say, uh, conflict there. It cannot be. Yes, suppose I say, you see, I've seen a kind of deity who came and said, how are you? And now I'm satisfied. Okay, I don't need anything else. The sages said, this is just a preliminary. This is just a first step. You've got a long way to go. Come. If that guy says, this is everything that I want, and this is everything that is, and he will get a bunch of his followers, and this is the only thing. So, one person's experiences might be on the lower level. It's a graded kind of experience. The highest experience possible to a person in a human body is that knowledge of Brahman, where that person feels, I am that Brahman. So, if the person says, you see, I like to have a God whom I can worship. Yeah. So, you have duality. Yeah. And most of the religions are all. There are some who say, I, I don't want myself in the picture. I don't want the deity in the picture. There are philosophies that have dispensed with even the deity. And what's it will create a philosophical conundrum, a conflict. Why you want a deity?
Like
Yeah,
Buddhism.
yes.
Mhm.
Buddhism, even Sankhya philosophy has the old Sankhya. They know why do you want to create a? The idea is simple. You put a seed in the ground, and the seed becomes a plant, a sapling, a plant, and a tree. Do you need a deity there to push it up? It grows by its own nature. So you don't need a deity. Then what happens? You eliminate your personal, you can say, existence, and then you'll find whether there's a deity, the one deity, 10 deities, or there is no deity. So to build up a philosophical structure, you don't even need a deity. Simple as that. You can do without it. And it was, and very powerful arguments. In fact, Advaita Vedanta, they don't say, yeah, what is God? God is the sum total of all souls. That's what God is.
So is Zoroastrians. They don't believe.
No, they have Aura Mazda. The Zoroastrians, they believe in
Okay.
the God of light, and Ariman, that is the deity. In fact, that was the first idea of dualism, Babylon, Persia, and which was taken up by those in the Middle East. Just good and evil. One God doing good, and then another God coming and toppling the whole thing. And there's a constant fight, and we are caught in that process. So, where do you want to go?
So Swami, so that is Ishwara? Is
That
would
is
that be called
yes.
Ishwara? And then is
The personal God is called Ishwara by kind of implication because it is doing it. Ishwara is not a personal God in the sense of with a long beard and sitting there in the clouds. Ishvara is here. We have dispensed, Advaita Vedanta has dispensed with gods, dispensed with heavens and hells and Satans and this and that. And it has thrown away all the gods. And what has it done? It has placed the self of man, the Atman of man, in that very throne. It has dethroned all the gods and placed the self there. You worship yourself there.
and
So,
is Saguna Brahman above the concept of Ishwara, or is it the same as?
Ishvara is Saguna Brahman.
Okay.
Yes. So here we are. This is what it is. So this is an experience, as we've said, that you after you experience that reality, what happens is Sri Ramakrishna says that I have to say Om, a longish Om, and descend about 100 feet down. He's saying, example, we used to measure it with the hands, so one hand, 100, kind of 100 hands length. And then I can say Om. So that experience transcends your personal speech and mind. So then at another time, you say, I want to tell you everything, but the Divine Mother closes my mouth. And you also, and his biographer, I think he wants to tell us everything when the mind goes from year to year, what exactly happens. But you cannot articulate it, that experience, because come back, the subject has and the object, that duality. In Harvard, Swami Vivekananda was asked, then talking about the experience, then somebody questioned, then does the subject merge in the object? No, the object merges in the subject. That's this whole objective universe then merges in that subject, and the subject remains with these powers. That is uh, the stage of, you can say, realization. Yeah, I think we can stop here for the moment. Not for the moment. We can stop here. Mm,